Welcome to the Brews and Appraisal Views podcast, where we blend the art of appraising with a touch of insight and a dash of humor. Whether you're a trainee, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the appraisal world, you've come to the right place. So grab your favorite brew, relax, and join us for some expert tips, real-world stories, and valuable advice to help grow your appraisal business. I'm your host, Dan Lindeman, certified appraiser serving South Florida for over 20 years. Hey, welcome back, appraisers. Today we're joined by Brad Bassi. He's a former guest, and he's going to give a brief introduction real quick for the appraisers, Brad, and then we're going to dive into it.
Hey, Dan, thank you very much for having me again. I appreciate it. My name is Brad Bassi, and I'm a certified residential real estate appraiser based out of Temecula, California. Don't get thrown off. Yes, I am wearing a Stetson. I know I'm in Southern California. I'm just a transplant, and I can't find my way out, so it's all good.
So, Brad, today we're going to we'll start off by talking about appraisal fees. I know you have some comments to make about what appraisers are charging and what they should be charging. So let's hear it. So what are you thinking?
Well, not to violate any massive three-ring circus federal laws, but one of the things, when I either am consulting with appraisers across the country or I'm meeting them at conferences or I'm teaching a class with appraisers, one of the things that I always make a comment about is, are you really charging for what you're worth? Are you really charging for your knowledge, your time, and the complexity of what the job is? And I hear all of the time from appraisers that, I can't charge any more than what I'm charging because my market won't support it. And I hate to do this, but I kind of roll my eyes and I say, well, how many appraisers do you have in your area? And usually the response is, well, I have a lot. And then my response is do you have 734 appraisers in your county? And they go, I don't think so. I'm like, well, I got 734 appraisers according to the Bureau of Real Estate Appraisers in the state of California. I got 734 appraisers in my county.
That's a lot. That's a lot of appraisers.
That's granted, we got a pretty big county. I've been told that sometimes like Riverside County is kind of like being a state, but there's a boatload of appraisers in this county, excuse me. And bottom line is that I charge what I believe my time is worth. I charge what my knowledge is worth. And folks, full disclosure, I am not God's gift to the appraisal world. I mean, good Lord, folks, I'm wearing a damn Stetson, and sometimes it gets on too tight. But I do believe in good customer service, and I do believe in presenting myself appropriately when I'm talking with people and making sure that I spend time with them on the telephone, as you and I have talked about before, is letting them vent, letting them clear their brain, letting them describe what's going on. And having good customer service, understanding that those people, they have probably seen maybe one or two appraisals in their life, and they have no idea what we do. And if you spend time with them on the phone and you build a rapport with them, I mean, they're not going to trust you in one phone call, but if you build a rapport with them, it's going to be huge. And then, as I always tell everybody, I always ask the question, do you quote immediately over the telephone? Well, yeah, we do. And I'm like, okay. So you haven't looked at the property, haven't researched it. You don't know if it backs up to power lines, or in your case, Everglades, or if it's, got frontal up against the canal or something, or whatever's peculiar in Florida. Maybe you think you know, but you don't. And my response is take the time to understand what it is. Send them a copy of a written proposal. And yes, it takes time, but I've built a template. It takes me maybe 20 minutes to review the property and figure out what I got going. Maverick, I'm working on one right now for a family law case. And they're going to get charged some money because it's a small manufactured home on a half acre and the data is all over the frickin' place. So I'm going to charge them for it.
So you think other appraisers, let's just say that family law case, they hired you. Why did they hire you over somebody else who's cheaper? Maybe they called around to 3 other people. Why do you think they hired you? Is it because the multiple phone calls, the follow-up engagement letter? Why do you think?
I think it's all the above. And on top of that, it's because of my website and my website presence. It has videos in there of me discussing what to expect when you call, talking about who I am and what's going on. And then they can look through the Google reviews, which I don't have that many, I have 30 or 31. I don't have that many because I don't ask for that much very often. And sometimes I do, but because most of the time I forget to ask for it after the job's done.
And it's hard to get them. It is hard to get them. People don't care about you or your time or anything. All they care about themselves. So it's hard to get reviews.
Exactly. And then also some of them aren't tied to Google. And if you don't have a Google presence, then you can't log in and leave a Google review.
Yeah.
So, I'll have emails from people and I'll put those in my website. But the biggest thing is some of the people comments to me is that we felt like we knew you before we called.
Yeah. And that's really important for trust. That's very important. So somebody who trusts you is going to give you maybe 20% more than your colleague who just spit out a number. So trust is a big deal. You spend a lot more time. My process is I don't quote somebody. Well, an initial phone call, I if they call me, like today I got a call. It's like, hey, can you do an appraisal on this property? I'm like, oh, sure. What's the address? They give me the address. I'm like, all right, I'll call you in an hour or two when I'm back in my office and after I look up the property so I can give you an accurate quote. And they're like, all right. So I pull up the property. It doesn't take me 20 minutes. There's a lot of crap's cookie cutter around here. So I know what I'm dealing with without doing a ton of research. So, but I never quote it. I never try to quote if I don't research the property. It's that friggin' time when I think I know the property and I don't look it up, it always bites me in the ass. So
exactly.
It's good when you have the property pulled up and you're talking with the person. You can say, hey, oh yeah, I see you're a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You got 2,500 square feet here. You have a pool and you have a lake view. Does that seem accurate? And they're like, oh wow, yeah, that's exactly it. So you already build that rapport with them. And when I'm quoting a job, that is the last thing I say is the fee. It's like I explain everything I'm going to do, and then I say, all right, the fee is X, and then just let me know. I have an opening later this week or anytime next week or whatever your time permits. I'm very flexible, so just let me know. And then that's how I do it, but it's a little shorter than 20 minutes.
And that's fine. But the bottom line is that you're doing some initial research before anything comes out of your mouth of XXX or XXXX.
Yeah.
And, for where I'm at, I'm in a bedroom community. I'm north of San Diego, about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. And I'm anywhere from 2 hours to 3 days from LA, depending upon traffic. So, but I'm in an area where I've got ranches east, west, north, and south of me. I've got, manufactured homes on acreage. As I was just getting, we were just talking, I'm getting ready to do a family law bid. I just put the template together and I'm sending it to them. And I'm a little more cautious about stuff because I do some civil litigation work. And how do I say this gracefully? A lot of people in California think that because we have 1.2 million lawyers that they all need to be employed. So I like to make sure that everything's done in writing. And that's overkill. I got it. It's not for everybody, and that's fine. But I got a lot of stuff out here that is not. It's not cookie cutter. I mean, I got track houses to the east, to the west of me, in towards town because I'm not in the city. I'm outside of the city limits. So there's cookie cutter stuff in there, but you still also got to be careful because some of the properties, if you're not really sure, there's a community called Crown Hill. And they got big panoramic views out the back of their 8,000 square foot lot of the Palomar Mountains. And so you just have to have a clue about what's going on. And yeah, it's a track house and I got it. But for me, that's just the way I do it. And it doesn't mean anything. And I'm long past 70. I've been thrown off of horses and run over by cows. So I ain't the smartest guy. But the bottom line is that I just want to know what's going on. And if you're at your desk and you're looking to do a little quick bit of research and you've opened up Google Earth and you can take a look at the property and you're going, oh man, got it. I know what that's great. I don't have a problem with that. That's fine. But take the time to do it. And then please Stop charging what you're getting paid by the AMCs.
I couldn't agree more. And if you start doing that and building the rapport, they're gonna pay the fee quote if they're comfortable with you. Obviously, some people are price shopping. You're never gonna avoid that, and they want the lowest price no matter what. We're not talking about those people. We're talking about probably 80% of the people who, when they're looking to hire an appraiser for a private use, not the 20% who want the lowest fee possible.
You're right. And with the estate situation, a lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times I take more time on the estate stuff because one of the initial questions I ask is, who am I talking to? And they give me their name and I'm like, no. What's your relationship within the trust? Are you a trustee? Are you a co-trustee? Are you a successor trustee? Are you an executor or executrix, depending upon where you're at and how they're identified? And I said, or is this an estate situation that's under probate? Because in the state of California, we have probate referees and they handle the appraisal. And so a lot of people aren't aware of that, especially if they're out of Arkansas or Nevada or, Wisconsin or something, trying to handle something in California long distance. So I want to know who I'm talking to, because number one, legally, I can't be talking to anybody unless they have a direct relationship, either a power of attorney, they're a successor trustee, or what have you, however they're identified. So I like to know who I'm talking to. And if they tell me they're a successor trustee, usually I can hear it in their voice, and I'm sure you've been through this too, where all of a sudden they start bubbling up a little bit because it's a family member. And maybe it's the son or the daughter, and all of a sudden this thing's tough. And they want to, in a lot of those situations, yes, they want to get off the phone, but they also want to talk. And because this may be the very first time they have ever done this. And everybody needs to be aware that if you're talking to a successor trustee for a trust, they have a fiduciary responsibility to the estate and the court. And if something goes haywire, the fiduciary's backside is on the line.
Yeah.
And if they say that Joe Smith, appraiser, told me that, it didn't matter, didn't have to worry about this, that, or the other thing, guess what? Joe Smith, appraiser, you may find yourself in front of that attorney under your court system. And so you want to make sure you're doing the right thing on the telephone with them. And I always tell everybody, I'm not tall enough, smart enough, or good looking enough to be an attorney, but I'm going to give you some information that you all need to confirm. And a couple of things is, number one, is there an estate attorney? And they'll go, well, sometimes they'll say yes. And my comment is have you talked to the attorney yet? Well, no, my friend told me I needed to get an appraisal done. Time out. No, you don't do anything. You do not pass go, do not collect $200 until you've talked to the estate attorney and you've talked to the accountant, either your CPA or the trust CPA, whoever was involved. You want to have business conversations with them first before you step off the curb.
So automatically you're basically telling them you don't want the assignment until you don't want them to spend money when maybe they don't need to, or they're not ready to figure out what they need, whether it's a current value or a date of death or whatever. So you're just trying to watch out for them.
Yeah. And maybe there's multiple dates of death because for whatever the reason, because of the size of the estate, which we don't need to know and have no knowledge of. And granted, yes, I know it's $15 million, but folks, with properties in California and with property going up in price in Florida and property price going up in Texas, guess what, folks? You got somebody that's got multiple properties, all of a sudden you may be at $15 million and you don't know about it, and it's none of our damn business. Yeah. But you've got to make sure that they're going in the right direction. And quite frankly, like you said, maybe the CPA and the trust attorney said, don't even bother with it. Get yourself a real estate agent and get a CMA done, slick done, pay $50 or $100 and call it a day and you're done.
Right. Yeah.
I don't need to take somebody's money for the sake of taking it. I won't do that.
I completely agree. I just talked somebody out of getting an appraisal yesterday. They were looking for an appraisal because they just converted their house into a rental. And I'm like, they wanted to break out the land and they wanted to break out how much the house was worth. I'm like, hey, I could do this appraisal for you, but you should probably talk to your CPA first, because you have what you paid for the home, you have what you put into it. I'm like, I don't think this appraisal is going to help you, because the land value is so high in this area and the house is very little of that value. So I'm like, maybe you should talk to your CPA first to figure this out, because I think you may be better off just using the assessed value from the county as opposed to getting an appraisal and spending, whatever, $500-$600. And he's like, all right, I'll let you know. And
I'll guarantee you, because of what you did, that phone call is coming back to you, not to anybody else.
And you know what? It could be 2 years from now. It's if he decides to go through it, he'll probably remember that. But yeah, I agree with you. You don't like.
Yeah,
it's easy to make. It's easy to make a couple $100 or whatever and forget about that person. But when you do stuff like this, they're going to refer you to somebody else. They're going to maybe. Refer you to an attorney or whatever the case may be. It's gonna be way better than you accepting that assignment when they really don't need an appraisal.
Right. And the other thing too with the estate, what I do as part of the other part of what I spend time with is I remind them, I said, look, as a fiduciary, you got all sorts of responsibilities, and I don't mean to terrify you or scare you, but whatever you take notes on, whether it be a legal pad or a spiral notebook or a tablet, or you do stuff with your thumbs on the phone, I don't care what it is, but you've got to start recording what you're doing for the estate and recording your time, because guess what? You can charge for your time. And then secondarily, have you been to the property? Well, yes. Have you shot photos and videos of the property? Well, no. Why would I want to do that? Because you're responsible for all of the assets to the inside of that structure and the outside of that structure. And oh, by the way, you should have all of the locks changed, especially if somebody had caregivers coming and going.
You're giving all this information to them, not in the capacity of an appraiser. It's a capacity of somebody who's familiar with the system and just giving advice in addition to giving the appraisal quote. So I assume you're not giving legal advice.
No, I never give legal advice. And that's why I tell everybody, you go talk to your estate attorney, you go talk to your CPA. But after 33, 34 years of doing this and seeing the aftermath of what has happened, and being involved in civil litigation suits because the fiduciary got sued by the other beneficiaries because somebody went in and started removing stuff out of the property.
Yep. It's as soon as the people see money and there's multiple heirs, it's a problem. It really never ends well.
And that's why I spend time on the telephone, and that's why I put a written proposal together.
So I want to backtrack to something else you said earlier. You said if they're not the executor or the fiduciary, they can't order the appraisal. Is that what you were saying? What you say?
Anybody can order an appraisal.
Okay.
But the problem is that's confidential information, and your client is the trust. And if you're sending information to somebody that's not a fiduciary or isn't a personal representative, then I would suggest that you've just violated the Confidentiality Act of citation under USPAP.
Okay, so somebody who's not the executor orders the appraisal, and they have the appraisal. All right, I want it to the trust of X, Y, and Z. I have access to the property. You do the appraisal. You send it to that person. So you think you're sending it. The trust is the client. Now you just gave them an appraisal of that property. I don't know about that. Whether that's confidential.
It's okay.
I'll challenge you on that one, but I can see the.
Let me ask this question. If you are writing up a proposal, which is what I do, and I say that the trust is going to be the client, and they say, okay, and I make the client the trust. If they give me the indication that they are the personal representative of whomever, I always ask, and this is just me, I always ask, can you please have the person that is the successor trustee that you're working with send me an email?
Okay, excellent. That's some good advice.
Or send me a text.
Right.
identifying that, hey, I'm the successor trustee. I'm got ill health, or I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm letting my grandson or my son or my second uncle, third removed, help me with this. As long as I've got it, then I've got the paper trail and I'm fine.
Got it. I see what you're saying. Okay, that's where you're going with that. I see. Yep. So you're taking the extra step in that case, just so you know exactly who that person is related to the estate. Okay, that's a pretty good idea. That's
why I do what I do, and that's why I charge what I charge. And you and I have had general conversations, and I know that I charge more than you do.
Yeah, you do, and you bitch at me that I don't charge enough sometimes.
Well, I do, but that's everybody's got their own business model, and I'm not going to step on anybody's toes.
Right, but I get the same thing from other appraisers in different markets. Like, oh, I can't charge that in my market, and I'm the same way with you. I'm like, I charge more in my market. I know I do. I know my competition. They're not even competition. I know the appraisers who charge less. They just charge less, and it is what it is. It is what it is.
And I've had pushback from a couple people going, well, it just won't work. And I said, okay, let's back up. Let's take another approach to this. Everybody sees all the AMC fees that are out there, and they're not segregated. So if somebody sees their closing statement and they see an appraisal fee of $800 or $900 or $750 from the AMC, and they don't even know what the appraiser got paid, don't you think that's establishing your baseline for what your fees could be?
I kind of agree.
I don't know. I wear a cowboy hat, folks. I ain't all that damn smart.
I agree.
What are you doing? And I'm not trying to hoodwink people. But damn it, appraisers aren't charging what they're worth.
I totally agree.
And the liability, not only the worth, but the liability that you take on every time you think about putting your name on an appraisal.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So let's move on. I know we were going back and forth talking about the lending side of the business and Collateral Underwriter. And you brought up a LinkedIn post by somebody from Fannie Mae. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. I'm sure I'm probably going to get a nasty gram from somebody that sees this one.
probably from Fannie Mae, so we'll see.
That's all right. I'll be more than happy for if Lyle wants to give me a call, or this guy Justin Alexander wants to give me a call, that'd be perfect. Because I don't think they handled themselves appropriately.
All right. So a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, I don't have the original. Okay, so yes.
It was about a month.
I'm going to read it. You want to read? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, go ahead and read it because I'm not
reading. All right. So this is the post. This is from a Fannie Mae representative.
Yeah, he's the head of collateral risk, according to what I understand. Director of collateral strategy. Excuse me.
Yesterday, we announced Collateral Underwriter access for appraisal management companies. We believe this will deliver meaningful benefits across the appraisal ecosystem. For lenders and AMCs, shared access to the same tools helps reduce back and forth and streamline appraisal quality control. For appraisers, it lowers both the frequency and latency of revision requests by aligning lenders and AMCs on common platforms. And for borrowers, early identification and resolution of appraisal issues can translate into faster processing with fewer handoffs between lenders and AMCs. To request access to Collateral Underwriter, click the link below and submit the form. Our team will begin processing your request. So they're giving the Collateral Underwriter, which for the appraisers out there, all these lending assignments, I think it's just Fannie and Freddie go into this big engine and they take all the information from your appraisal and they create these algorithms and these models and these ratings and put it all together into this amazing Collateral Underwriter system, which spits out the most similar properties to the subject. It spits out how much peers are doing for adjustments, a whole bunch of information. And now they're going to give it to the appraisal management companies, in addition to they already gave it to the lenders. So now the AMCs have access to this. So what do you think is going to happen to the lending appraiser?
Well, let's go a little bit further on that post. And part of the reason I had this conversation with you is because, and I'm going to paraphrase because I'm going by memory right now, but there was a lady out of Texas that made a comment And I'll paraphrase it. Essentially, it was to the effect of, well, there's going to be issues with the AMCs that are going to start, providing data to the appraisers to make them change their values and change their mind. And that's essentially what she said. And then Mr. Alexander, who's the director of Collateral, something or other for Fannie Mae, his tone, shall I say, was a little bit of a slap up the side of the head. Essentially, he said, you really shouldn't post if you don't know what you're talking about. That's pretty much what he said.
Yes, basically.
Yeah. So I responded into this. And folks, I'm 99.9% private party. I don't do any lending. I got no dog in this fight. But full disclosure, I happen to know, in general, the appraiser that was slapped up the side of the head. And I didn't think it was appropriate. So I jumped into it. And part of his response to her, Mr. Alexander's response was, oh, well, we have guardrails up. And I'm like, okay, guardrails. That mean that's going to keep that car from driving off the cliff? Well, I did a little more research, and yeah, they got guardrails up. And here's the thing, I don't know specifically what the guardrails are because I can't find the guardrails. They're not in writing that I'm allowed to see. And maybe Mr. Alexander will share them with the world. But from what I can tell, what is going to be happening is that when an AMC makes a revision request to the appraiser, that gets logged into the loan, and that travels with the loan. So if there's 2 or 3 revision requests going back and forth, those get logged into the loan. That's my understanding. And then that goes to the lender, and then the lender then bundles it all up with all that data. It's all tied together. It's all married, and they're all kissing cousins, and they ship that off to Fannie Mae. Now, my understanding is, and I'm sure Mr. Alexander's going to come out and slap me for being wrong, and that's okay, because I like to say I've been wrong 3 times today already, according to my horses, dogs, and wife. So from what I understand is they're going to be reviewing the revision requests to see if there's any trends among the different AMCs. That's my understanding. Now, if that's accurate, that's part of their guardrails. Well, that's great. Except that's like saying, oh my God, you look out and around and you go, oh my God, what are the horses doing out in that other pasture? Well, the gate's open. All right, now we got to get all the horses, bring them back, and close the gate again. I'm not sure how interactive this guardrail is. And if you've got an AMC, and I understand that not all AMCs are bad, but I have seen some posts recently that made what little hair I have on top of my head curl. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Dan and I hang out together, because we're both short on top.
Same barber.
Yeah. And there's some stuff going on out there. And there's some AMCs doing some things. And I'm like going, okay, if this is being publicly notified, what's not being publicly posted? And if the guardrails are in place, as Fannie says they are, well, what are you going to do to correct that issue? Because if the appraiser's already been, how do I say this? If the appraiser has already been given a little bit of a nudge that if you don't change this sale out, not quite sure how many more reports you're going to get from us. And I know no AMC in the face of the planet is going to say that. I absolutely know they're never going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So my question is, dear Mr. Alexander, what are the guardrails? Why don't you share with us, the appraisers, what the guardrails are? And then also share with us, where do we go when we feel like our appraiser independence is being violated? Because that is a Fed law.
Okay. Let's back up a little. Well,
sure.
To get access to Collateral Underwriter, it says there's the AMC sign up for it. So it unlocks powerful insights to elevate appraisal quality and risk management. So if appraisal quality is increasing, what's the difference if they share it with the AMC and with the appraiser? Like if every appraiser has access to this data, it could just be an additional data source. Now, here's the thing when you're trying to limit who has access to this data. Class Valuation, an appraisal management company, AMC, recently announced that it's one of the first AMCs to receive access to Collateral Underwriter, Fannie Mae's proprietary appraisal risk assessment tool, making a significant milestone for appraisal review and risk management. Also, they happen to employ staff appraisers. So, do staff appraisers have access to the CU and my independent company does not? Is that some sort of advantage for Class, their staff appraisers, because it streamlines through Fannie Mae, the CU underwriter, because that appraiser looked at Collateral Underwriter, chose the 3 comps that were in the area, gave it a high score, and it goes just sails on through? So now are more lenders going to use Class because their staff appraisers are using CU? That's like a slippery slope.
Well, according to what I read, apparently the CU, when it's only tied to a particular appraiser. So I don't know how that's going to be controlled. Now, according to Mr. Alexander, the guardrails are in place, and that kind of thing's not going to be happening because the lady that made the comment also was kind of alluding to that scenario, of how are you going to handle this? Well, maybe not in that verbs, but, that I don't know what's going on. And because of all of these people that have got staff appraisers running around out there now, True Footage, AMC, Class, every time I open up an email, there's another new AMC.
Right. So I don't know what data they have access to. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what it looks like. I have no idea.
Well, we're never going to know what it looks like, at least not unless we're given an opportunity to. But, the kicker, every time you said something that you read from Fannie Mae's read-offs, it's all about risk analysis. They don't care anymore about the collateral. It's all about risk analysis.
And that's fine. But let's get on the same page. Let's say, okay, let's just change what it is then. If you don't want us doing appraisals, you just want us just to review the collateral underwriter data for a certain property and give a yes or no. If that's the role of the lending appraisal, then just let's move in that direction already.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know where that's going to end up. And I'm sure they've got guardrails because I'm sure Fannie Mae's got all these smart people running around there, and I'm sure they've got all this planned out. Problem is they haven't told anybody about it. Right. And quite frankly, because Fannie's got the 450-pound sledgehammer, they don't really care what we residential appraisers think. We're a nuisance in some cases. And in some cases, Fannie Mae's right, we are a nuisance because some of the appraisers running around out there should be hit over the head with a 450-pound sledgehammer.
It's like that in every profession, though.
It's exactly. It's like that with doctors, lawyers, and everything else. Yeah. I mean, but quite frankly, I had somebody the other day, and I didn't confirm this, but they go, do you know that in the state of California, this is my state, and this could be wrong, I didn't confirm it, but in the state of California, that the people running the show for attorneys now, as far as who gets whacked and who doesn't get whacked, are attorneys.
Oh, really? Oh, so the attorneys are in charge of policing themselves. So you could police the competition. You can police the competition away from you if you're in a certain market.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how true that was, but I'll tell you, it makes me concerned because all of these AMCs have gone the way of the staff appraiser for 2 reasons. Number 1, they can control what's going on, and number 2, it increases their net income. And anybody that wants to argue with me about that, I do have a little bit of experience from my corporate days at looking at P&L statements. And any appraisal management company that wants to challenge me on that front, I guarantee you're making more damn money using your staff appraisers than you are going outside.
Or why would you not? Why would you have staff appraisers if not? Yeah, it would be easier to contract with people. No employment agreements. It would just be 1099s, everybody.
I mean, good God, for all the sakes, and I had one time I had a boatload of people reported into me. I found out about every dog ate my homework excuse known to man.
Yeah.
So, you're not doing this just for the sake of argument. You're doing it because it's going to increase the value of your company for when you decide that you want to sell to some other big company.
Right.
So I don't know what the controls are, and Fannie Mae has not. No, I don't think anybody screamed and yelled. As a matter of fact, on that post that we're referencing, there was one appraiser, actually, family appraisal business, I think they're brothers, that commented about that it was a good thing. Then there was a comment by this lady that was saying that she's concerned about it. There was my comments about it. And then all the other posts were from AMCs or somebody in the collateral risk business. And it's like, they think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and warm butter.
Absolutely.
Well, of course you do.
I was just looking at the post. It was all
chicken coop, for God's sake. You can go eat all the chickens you want.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So I wonder what the ramifications are going to be, but that's just a heads up to the lending appraiser. That's more advice. That's more a clear sign to the lending appraiser. Like, you need to diversify already. There's so much more work out there besides lender work and having to deal with that portion of the business. Just try and diversify and get out there. My goodness, because you don't want to be dealing with this shit with them staff appraisers, them having CU and the AMCs. I don't even know what kind of a revision request the AMC is now going to put on the appraiser. Are they going to be the ones? Is the lender putting off the collateral underwriter report, just giving it to the AMC, or in the same report that the AMC has now? And the AMC may increase revision request 10x on the appraiser because that's their value add for the lender. They can say, oh yeah, CU said this, we followed up with the appraiser and we made them change X, Y, and Z and told them to consider these 3 other comps. So is that their value add now? Is this the CU output, telling the appraiser what to do? It's probably going to increase revision requests.
They claim it's going to reduce it. That's their claim.
No, there's no way it would reduce it.
I don't know. I'm with you. But here's the fun thing. From what I read, and Mr. Alexander, if you happen to listen to this podcast, I haven't researched it other than what Fannie Mae has put out and what Collateral Underwriter has put out. But they take a look at 20 data points. There's 20 data points put together in CU. And for those of you that remember back about, what was it, 7, 8, 9 years ago, when all of a sudden the CU showed up and the lenders all went into panic mode, and the appraisers in the lending world started getting revision requests with, oh, by the way, here is 9 properties that you need to review. Anybody remember that?
Uh-huh.
Well, I don't know. Is that going to start, like you said, is that going to start over again?
It may start over with the AMCs getting access to it. It's got to.
I don't know. I don't know. But, boy, I'll tell you, if Fannie Mae's got guardrails up, I sure as hell wish they'd put out the publications. And furthermore, my theory is that they have the guardrails. That's fine. But here's my question to Fannie Mae. If an AMC sticks their toe too far over the line, who does the appraiser have the recourse with?
Sure.
Is it to the lender, who's already in bed with the AMC, or does Fannie Mae set up a place where we can go directly, not we personally, but the appraiser can go directly to Fannie Mae and say, hey, on this loan on 123 Main Street in Culver City, New Mexico, here's what I got. Here's what's going on. This is the 3rd time this has happened with this AMC. You guys got to knock this off.
Right.
Is that going to happen? Because I haven't heard a damn thing come out of Fannie Mae's mouth about that.
Let's see if anything comes out about it. That's very interesting point. Where are you going to go when you're being pressured? And
I mean, I've heard posts say, "Oh, we'll go to the state." Yeah, I've seen some posts. I had one person respond on that made a comment back. Oh, you turn them into the state. And I'm like, okay, great. I know what goes on in the state of California. I know what happens out here on enforcement. I know how long it's going to take for enforcement.
Yeah,
I know some states don't even have really strong enforcement at all.
in the meantime, it almost needs to be like a whistleblower case, because in the meantime, you're just going to get cut from that AMC and they're just going to go on to the next appraiser who doesn't bitch and moan about them.
Exactly. And they're going to make the changes of whatever comes out, it comes coughing out of the CU. I know what their intent is. The other thing that you read on there is to speed up the process. And every time I hear somebody tell me that we have to speed up the appraisal process, I absolutely cringe. Because I just keep going, where in the hell did we come up with the fact that everything's got to be done in 3 days on, quite, as I always say, quite possibly the single largest asset that this person may be buying?
Yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea why they think it's not taking the appraiser 30 days to complete the appraisal. It's taking the appraisal a week, as long as it's in the closing period. I don't know. A week is a normal time frame, unless it's a rural job or something like that.
Yeah.
But I would love to see the national turn time stats from when an appraisal is ordered for lending versus when it's completed. Even if an AMC has that stat, that would be very interesting. And that would prove that the timeline doesn't exist. Like if the average turn time is that 7 days from when it's ordered to when it's finally completed, that's not us holding up the lending process at all.
No, because there's a boatload of other stuff going on the front end of it, which, now, the other thing you want to do is for any AMC that's going to give us that data, please don't show me data from June, July, August of 2020 through January of 2022, when the interest rates went to 2.5% and the whole world refied, because that was an aberration. And don't tell me that you're planning on another aberration.
Yeah, we're not.
We thought the aberration was coming, and now the 10-year Treasury is back at, what, 6.4, 6.5 handle again?
Yeah, so that's
4.4, 4.5 handle.
Yeah, so that was a fluke volume year for sure.
It happens every now and then, but everybody wants to preclude that because nobody wants to. It's really important that everybody be able to get their refi, which I agree, but it's always really important for all the shenanigans that goes on.
Yeah, in those different scenarios where. Let your guidelines change for the lending community, for Fannie and Freddie. Like if it's just a straight up refinance or whatever, and they're just terms are changed, that's it. Yeah, I agree. I don't think an appraisal is needed in situations like that. If you're just redoing your same loan, the collateral was so much 10 years ago, how much it was worth.
They got all the data.
Just redo it.
They got all the data. They should know what it's worth today.
Right. So I could see that. Let's change that. Don't blame it on the appraiser. Like, oh, they came in too low or whatever. Like, just redo the loan and just guarantee that loan. Like, if that's what you want to do it. Don't blame us.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'll tell you, the thing with the staff appraisers, and there's guardrails according to Fannie.
Of course. Yeah, there's a lot of those staff appraisers, I'm sure, have guardrails for the company that employs them.
I just don't know what they are, and I need to understand what they are in order for this to make sense. Because, as I like to remind, and I've had this conversation, and I got a sideways look when I reminded them, is that you're the same organization that's in conservatorship still to this day, and I understand why, because you're feeding a lot of money to the U.S. government, putting it into their junk bond or into their bank account, but you're still in receivership. Or conservatorship, excuse me. And, oh, by the way, why are you in conservatorship? Because you guys got out of control with what you were doing back in 05, 04, 05, 06, 07.
Because they had guardrails back then, right?
They had a lot of guardrails.
Yeah.
They had a boatload of guardrails, including 125% financing.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It's just, I just... As Ronald Reagan said a long time ago, there's those words you hate to hear, and that is, I'm the government and I'm here to help.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I'm concerned. Like I said, the CU thing doesn't matter to me, but I am concerned for our brethren that do handle in the lender world, and I'm concerned by it. And not only for them, but also concerned for what the hell's going on here.
Right. But the profession as well. Like if
Sure.
a huge segment of lending appraisals is gone and causing chaos, that's not going to feed future people coming into the appraisal profession if this is what they think, or they're coming in under some other terms. But I think it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the profession and bringing new people in.
I think you're absolutely right. And I just heard a broadcast today, and it was about mentoring and the different things that go on, and why there's not a lot of people mentoring and helping and getting new blood into the industry. And I'm like, the one thing they didn't talk about is mentoring costs money to the person doing it. And if they are working for AMCs and they're going to do what with mentoring, and they're only making whatever they're making, and they're going to pay a mentor on top of that, or pay a trainee on top of that.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why there's not that many trainees right now, because it's got nothing to do with training your competition. It's all about what can you make as an employer, as a business owner. What are you going to make? And if you got to pay somebody to have them mentor, and you're only getting X instead of Y, then it doesn't make sense.
Right. It limits your ability to scale. It's like it doesn't pay to scale in that case.
Exactly. And that's the weird thing about all this. And nobody wants to talk about that subject, because everybody goes, oh, we can't talk about fees. And I'm like, it's a gaggle of these.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't mention any fee numbers in this.
No, we're not going. I'm not going to do that.
Charge whatever they want to charge, but
it's nuts, and I feel badly about what's going on. And you're right. This profession has got some issues. Some of them are self-induced. Some of them have been induced by the AQB, and probably my friends at TAF, who probably don't really care much for me. I haven't gotten a Christmas card from TAF in years, so there's probably something going on there.
Well, your license is still active, so just be thankful.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's your Christmas card.
Yeah, well, for right now, that doesn't really matter, because I'm in a voluntary state. So until the state of California tries that.
Yeah, that's interesting that your state is like that.
Yeah, well, there's you mentioned class valuations. One of the management types from class valuations is trying to get it changed from a voluntary state to a mandatory state,
so they can get more business. Yeah, sure, absolutely,
and get more appraisers. And I'm sure the state of California wants that, because we at one time had over 20,000 appraisers in the state of California. We are now down to, I think it's like 8,200, 8,300.
That's quite the drop.
Yeah,
I have not looked at what Florida's done. I haven't looked at what Florida's done lately, but my goodness.
Well, that's why our fees out in California for the appraisal every 2 years are going up. They've gone up double plus a little bit now. I think they're 120% higher than where they were a few years back.
I want to say Florida. When I renewed like a year or two ago, I think the rate went down because they had a surplus of money in the funds, and I think it was like $150 to renew.
Put an extra zero after that number plus an extra 300, and you got my number in the state.
That's hard to stomach, just for a renewal of just for them to say, give you a new date.
The fees pay for the staff and pay for the enforcement portion and that kind of stuff. And if you've got less appraisers, well, you still got to have staff, then something's got to go up. Yeah. And that's the people paying the salary.
All right. So we almost went 50 minutes. So I know I've taken enough of your time here. Is there anything else you want to talk about, or you want to end it here? We got some talk in there, CU talk.
It's all good. Yeah, you let me flap my gums and vent, which I appreciate, because I was on it. And it's so weird that I want to vent on this, because I got nothing to do with the CU thing, but it just doesn't feel right. And I don't think somebody needs to say something, and so far they haven't done it.
Yeah, it's good to vent, even though it may not impact our businesses. It's going to impact our profession, and it could in turn impact our businesses if So it's a good discussion. Yep. Please, anybody from Fannie, if you want to discuss it, be more than open to having a podcast on it, and you can tell us where we're wrong. Listen, I feel like I'm right maybe 80% of the time. So, so you're more than welcome to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, and you're more than happy to call me. I know y'all know my phone number, so feel free to give me a call.
Yeah, I'm sure you're added to the list. You're added to the list. Just for the record, Fannie Mae, I have nothing to do with Brad's opinions.
Yep, Brad's opinions are Brad's opinions.
Oh, man. All right, so I appreciate your time, Brad. As always, appraisers, I'll catch you later on the next one. Thanks for joining us on the Brews and Appraisal Views podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found some value in it, which you can apply to your appraisal business. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave a review. It really helps us reach more appraisers like you. For more tips and to connect with other appraisers, visit referappraisals.com. Until next time, keep brewing up success in your business, and I'll catch you on the next episode.